It's in Matthew 18, he taught us that in the context of biblical community, we need to be humble in the context of biblical community, he said. We need to be childlike in the context of biblical community. We need to treat each other like we're talking to Christ in the context of biblical community. We need to not cause each other to sin in the context of biblical community. We need to deal aggressively with our own sin, so we don't hurt ourselves and then we hurt others in the context of biblical community. We need to not despise other brothers and sisters and see the value in brothers and sisters. And we need to go after other brothers and sisters when we see them straying from the context of biblical community. So the Lord built in all of these metrics that we will protect ourselves from hurting ourselves and protect ourselves from hurting people. But what the Lord gives us next is probably at the pinnacle of how we protect ourselves from hurting ourselves. After he says, be childlike. After he says, be humble. After he says, treat others like you treat me. After he says, don't lead them into sin. After he says, deal with your own sin. After he says, don't look down upon other children of God. After he says, go after the wanderer, the very next thing he says in the context of community, Matthew 18 and verse 15, he says, if your brother sins against you, go tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. Now, what we have here from Christ is a framework, listen, for dealing with conflict resolution inside the context of community. And I want to draw your attention to a few words in the text. The first word I want to draw your attention to is the word if. What the Lord does with the word if, it presupposes that in the context of biblical community, there will always be a possibility that you may get hurt deeply from somebody inside the church. And what the Lord takes off the table from you and me is this false narrative that you keep going, that you can join a church and be a part of a church and never get hurt from somebody in that church. So there's a lot of us who come into gatherings and then be a part of gatherings, and you think because the people are supposed to be holy, I will be here for weeks and I'll be here for months and I'll be here for years, and I expect nobody to ever inflict any pain on me at all. And that what we have is an American context for church, but not a biblical context for church. The Lord taught us right here before the church was formed, as long as you are in community with brothers and sisters, there will always be the potential for you to get wounded as a result of somebody else sinning against you. So I want to draw your attention to this next word, sin. Now let me tell you what is not in view. Annoyance is not in view. Some of y'all are very petty. Being hyper emotional is not in view. Being rubbed wrong is not in view. Being frustrated is not in view. The Lord does not have those things in view, because if the Lord was telling us to confront somebody every time you was annoyed, man, we would not survive this. We will be in the lobby and in the parking lot running up on each other all the time, having beef with people all the time, confronting people all the time. Every time you get annoyed, you got to go say something to somebody. No, that's not in view here, family. Because when we are mature, there's some things, man, you take to your prayer closet. They offend you, you take that to prayer. They annoy you, you take that to prayer. They frustrate you, you take that to prayer. It's only immature believers got to always say something every time you feel something that somebody else has did to you.